in this country.
Because think about it, like,
well, and they have both Republicans have
because
argued
right
that
now
should
Democrats
create
are trying to
government
save
and
the
then
country from the
where do you both
Republicans,
stand
right?
on that prospect?
And in order to do that, they are trying to save Republican voters from their representatives by forcibly re-implementing the Band-Aid solution to a Band-Aid solution. Subsidies for Medicaid. So I think a lot of people get overstimulated and refuse to pay attention to it, and they just check out in its entirety. Meanwhile, here's the town hall for AOC and Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders and Democratic Representative
I'll tune into this for a little bit before I have to leave.
I'm Caitlin Collins, and tonight, as the shutdown enters its third week, there are still no signs of a deal here in Washington. Republican Speaker Mike Johnson is warning that this could be one of the longest shutdowns in history. Democrats say they won't budge without addressing the rising cost of health care. But caught in the middle are the American people, including more than 1 million federal workers who are going without pay this evening. Two of the nation's most prominent leaders on the left are here to take our questions tonight about their strategy and what it will take to reopen the government. We also invited prominent Republicans to participate in a town hall, including the Senate Majority Leader, the House Speaker, and the Vice President. Those invitations stand, and we hope that those leaders will join us. To find our questioners tonight, we reached out to political and business groups, universities, and other civic organizations. Our questioners are Democrats, Republicans, and independents, some of whom are federal workers here in their personal capacity. They have asked that their party affiliation not be disclosed. Tonight's participants will be asking their own questions, selected by CNN to cover a variety of topics. You might see them holding a piece of paper that has their question on it. It's a question they wrote, and it has not been edited in any way by CNN. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont. Thank you, Senator. And also Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York. Thank you so much. It's great to have you here. And of course, it's so great to have both of you here. We have so many audience questions tonight, really good ones. And Senator Sanders, just in terms of how long this shutdown has gone on, you and I have spoken multiple times during this, but we're now on the 15th day. The ninth vote
What
to
kind of
reopen the
debate is
government
this?
failed.
Yeah, Bernie and AOC are going to debate one another, chat.
When he says that this could be one of the longest government shutdowns in U.S. history?
No. I think the Republicans are catching on that you can't throw 15 million Americans off of the health care they have. And studies indicate that when you do that, some 50,000 Americans a year will die unnecessarily. And then on top of that, just in Vermont today, Caitlin, people in my state and all over this country are beginning to receive notices from insurance companies about what their new premiums will be if we do not stop what Trump is doing. In my state of Vermont, there are people today who receive notices that their premiums are going to quadruple. Quadruple. Some less, 3 times. In my state of Vermont, and again, this is true in many parts of the country, middle-class families will be paying $50,000 a year for health care. Anyone think that's sane? It's not. Who can afford that? Republicans are catching on. They're playing a losing hand. They are going to come to the table finally and address the health care crisis that they've created.
Okay, so you think Republicans will come to the table sooner rather than later. The White House has not indicated as much, and today the budget director, Russ Vought, said that north of 10,000 federal workers could be laid off during this government shutdown. Does that make Democrats rethink their strategy at all?
I wish they would be more aggro, man.
What Russ Vought just announced today in the laying off of federal workers, we learned today a judge has put a temporary restraining order because it is likely illegal what he and the Trump administration is doing. The problem is that this administration, the Trump administration, folks like Russ Vought, they think that destroying our health care, making sure that housing is too expensive to live in, that jacking up the costs of our groceries, they think all of this is about hurting Democrats. What they are doing is hurting Americans, and they are hurting this country. And if Mike Johnson wants to say that this shutdown is going to last a long time, it is because he is choosing to punish the American people, and we cannot stand for it, and we cannot allow it. And we also cannot enable it by acquiescing and enabling the behavior of bullies. So it ends today.
So we have
If I could just add to something, Alexandria.
Go ahead, Senator.
This is the cynicism of the Speaker of the House. Where are your Republican colleagues tonight? They're back here in Washington negotiating?
That's an excellent question, Bernie. Right now, House Democrats are in Washington, D.C. Senate Democrats are in Washington, D.C. Even Senate Republicans, I believe, are still in Washington, D.C. The only people who are not in Washington, D.C. are the over 200 elected Republicans in the House of Representatives, because Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, refuses to call the House in session. He refuses to also seat Adelita Grijalva because they want to prevent the 218th signature on release of the Epstein files as well.
Can I ask you on that? Because Speaker Johnson was asked about that today, and he said it has nothing to do with that. It's so she can have all the pomp and circumstance that is afforded to most members when they're sworn in. You don't believe that?
No, Mike Johnson has sworn in several member sessions. He understands that the importance of this country, the importance of representation, is not about pomp and circumstance. And in fact, it's not just about Representative Grijalva. It's about the over 700,000 people in the state of Arizona, veterans, seniors, teachers, students, who do not have anyone to call in an emergency because their elected representative that has been certified at municipal, state, and the federal level with federal acknowledgement, he refuses to seat a duly elected official here in the House of Representatives.
So we have a lot of questions tonight for people who are here in Washington. And Representative Ocasio-Cortez, this first question is for you. This is Alicia Dulford, who is from Camp Springs, Maryland, and is a TSA officer who's active in her local federal employees union. Thank you so much for being here. What's your question?
Thank you for having me. As the month November approaches, many of us are facing serious hardships as we enter week 3 of the shutdown. Some are at risk of eviction or mortgage default, and local rental companies and lenders have become silent or refused to work with employees presenting DHS debt letters. What protections or emergency actions can be taken to prevent these workers and their families from losing their homes during this time?
Well, thank you so much for your question. And particularly as a TSA employee, I represent LaGuardia Airport. And so yes, I know very, very well all the hard work that you all do and put in. And,
yes, ma'am.
And you all deserve a dignified workplace. You deserve a safe workplace. And you deserve the paycheck that you are working for. What I believe the best
AOC is a part of the alt-right pipeline that loops around and goes back to radical centrism.
Right.
Come on, man.
And to ensure and to also call on our representatives and put pressure on individuals like the Speaker of the House to actually pick up the phone. The problem here is not that there is not even that there's a disagreement. It's that the Speaker of the House and the Trump administration refuses to even have a negotiation. They refuse to even pick up the phone and talk about this. And so I
don't you like AOC? What the dude? Are you asking me?
Start to agree with what Mike Johnson is saying.
I just said the person is crazy for saying AOC is a part of the radical centrist alt-right pipeline.
Idea that everyone's just going to miss a paycheck, that 1 million federal workers are just going to go without that, and to just warn that in advance and to have us accept that. This is not acceptable. This is not normal. And what is normal is for us to
I wish AOC was more aggressive. And I wish Bernie was more aggressive. And I wish that they were more bold.
You come to a compromise and you pass a bill. That is schoolhouse rock.
I think the Democratic Party basically whipped them up so aggressively in this last Biden administration as a junior partner.
I want to make sure that we, of course, pass a bevy of federal protections for workers, but we don't want them to be necessary in the first place.
Yeah, and Senator Sanders, on that front, on government shutdowns before, obviously you've said before that you believe shutting down the government is a serious and dangerous action. You said that we must do everything possible to prevent it. What would you say to people who are missing their paychecks?
I think AOC and Bernie Sanders should be the center-left position in this country. I mean it. I think we need way more radical politicians out there to their left.
But I want to just back up a little bit to discuss how we got to where we are, because I'm not sure everybody knows this. What Alexandria was just saying is in the House, majority rules, they pass the budget. In the Senate, not quite the case. It needs 60 votes, okay? That's been going on for a very long time. And the reason for the 60 votes is to encourage bipartisan negotiations. All right? Republicans have 53 people in their caucus. Democrats, including independents, have 47. You got to talk. This time, for the first time in history, what Republicans are saying, yeah, we don't have 60 votes. We're not talking to you, our way or the highway. And what we are saying is sit down and talk to us. You got to deal with the healthcare crisis in this country.
Because think about it, like,
well, and they have both, Republicans have
because
argued
right
that
now,
should
Democrats
really
are trying to
government
save
and
the
then
country from the
where do you both
Republicans,
stand
right?
on that prospect?
And in order to do that, they are trying to save Republican voters from their representatives by forcibly re-implementing the Band-Aid solution to a Band-Aid solution. Subsidies for Medicaid. Medicaid itself is a Band-Aid solution.
Okay. On that front, let's get
And
to our
should
next
be legal
question
in more.
from the audience. Senator Sanders, this one's for you. This is Jeffrey Katz, who is a tax attorney from Potomac, Maryland, who says he's a Democrat who voted for President Trump in the last election. Jeffrey, what's your question?
Senator Sanders, you've said 50,000 people could die from ACA subsidy cuts. But right now, 1.4 million federal workers aren't getting paid. How do you justify choosing a fight over subsidies that might help people in the future over workers who are definitely suffering today?
Look, you are talking to, along with Alexandria, one of the strongest pro-worker members of the United States Congress. So we are going to fight for federal workers. And by the way, in terms of the AFTRA union, you are aware that our friend in the White House basically, in an unprecedented way, decided he wasn't going to have that union anymore, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to fight for federal employees. But what you just said about 50,000 people dying a year, this is based on studies done from the University of Pennsylvania and Yale. You take 15 million people off of their health care.
Snatch that wig right out of his head, bro.
Class people.
Shut the fuck up, Jeffrey.
They don't go to a doctor. They have chronic problems.
Lifelong Democrat who voted for Trump this last election? What the fuck is that?
It's not only about health care. Do you know why we are in the situation we are today? Why do you think Trump and his friends made massive cuts to Medicaid and are forcing us to double premiums for the ACA? They gave the 1% in this country $1 trillion in tax breaks.
True.
$1 trillion in tax breaks at a time when we have more income and wealth
solidified and made
than any time in the
permanent
history
previous
of this
tax cuts that Donald
So
Trump
I am
had
not gonna sit
implemented that
back
were
and
slated
say,
to
yeah, we're going to
sunset.
let 50,000 people die so that Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and other multi-billionaires can get a tax break.
But can I ask you in terms of negotiations and what's realistic for the subsidies which expire at the end of December? Obviously, open enrollment starts November 1st. Over in the House, there are 14 House Republicans who have said that they will sign on and they will vote for a one-year extension of the subsidies. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said he thought that proposal was laughable. Do you think that's laughable, or is that something you could get behind?
Yeah, no, let me tell you why it's laughable. Because it's cynical. Republicans want to sign on to just a one little extra year of these ACA subsidies. You want to know why? What's happening next year? Midterm elections. They want to extend these subsidies just a year extra so that people don't realize the dupe that they are pulling on everyone, so that they can all reelect themselves and allow those things to expire the moment that they win re-election. And it is time to get politics out of what should be a guaranteed universal right in the United States of America, and that is health care. And so I will not accept a measly one-year acceptance of a measly one-year extension of the ACA. We need to make sure, and as a member of the party, we put negotiations in the hands of our party's leadership with Hakeem Jeffries. He says it's no, it's no. And we have to make sure that we are expanding and continuing the fight and not falling for the fine print, not falling for the tricks, and not falling for the politics around this.
If I could add to what Alexandria was saying, it's not just 15 million people losing their health insurance. And it's not just tens of millions of people seeing a doubling or a tripling in their premiums. Our healthcare system, and you guys can argue with me if you want, I think our healthcare system is broken. I think it is dysfunctional. And I think it's on the verge of collapse. And understand that when we talk about these massive cuts to healthcare from Trump and his friends, you're talking about cuts to nursing homes. You're talking about cuts to rural hospitals. You're talking about cuts to community health centers where 32 million people get their primary care. This system is on the verge of collapse. And I would hope that everybody in this room and everybody in America ask themselves a very simple question. Why is the United States, the richest country in the history of the world, the only major nation not to guarantee health care to all people as a human right?
So can I ask, if a one-year extension you say is measly and doesn't cut it, what exactly do you want to see? What would you vote for?
Medicare for all.
Well, again, you know,
Medicare for all. Medicare for all.
negotiations are all about a back and forth. And the idea of accepting something for nothing, I don't think is something that we're prepared to do. And by that, I mean
single-payer healthcare.
That requires Mike Johnson saying what he's willing to
healthcare.
do and engaging in those negotiations with Hakeem Jeffries. And so this is a team sport. This is about making sure that we're all can come to something that we can agree with. So, you know, I think we know what we will not accept, and what we will not accept is for these ACA premiums to skyrocket on the American people. What we will not accept is the doubling of these premiums, and what we will not accept is allowing the teetering of this system to collapse right before everyone's eyes.
Okay, so you won't accept 1 year. I know, Senator, you've said that you believe they should be permanent, but in terms of what actually happens next year, what do you need to see for the government to be reopened? Can you walk me through what that looks like?
I have a radical idea. You ready for a radical idea? Let's do what the American people want. Do a poll. Do a poll. CNN. Ask people how many think it's a great idea to give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1% and decimate the American healthcare system. And if you do not have a strong majority of Republicans, Democrats, and independents saying that is crazy, I will be surprised. Let's do what the American people want. And at the very least, as we continue the fight for a Medicare for all single-payer system, we're going to protect people today from losing their health care or from seeing their premiums skyrocket, seeing nursing homes, community health centers decimated.
But let's say that the White House and Republican leaders say that they will extend these subsidies. It's not clear how long, because you say 1 year is not enough.
I'm going to continue this. I am going to continue this video tomorrow. So there will be some good content for tomorrow. But I have to go because I have a panel that I have to attend, ladies and gentlemen. I love you all. I didn't even get to... What is this? Selling my TikTok account? We're good, man. Thanks. I have to...